Hello, and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm one of your hosts, Madelyn.
I'm your other host, Emma.
And we're excited to welcome you to this side quest edition of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Yeah, every time I say it, it's a call and response. So every time I say it, you have to respond.
I hope you're saying it out loud where you are, listeners, because it's a requirement.
Talk this. It's dangerous to podcast alone. Talk this. It's dangerous to podcast alone. That was a little
Real catchy. Real catchy.
Polyrhythm there.
Yes, anyway, this is one of our side quest weeks, which means we're about 5 to 10 minutes shorter than our non-side quest weeks. And we talk about a whole lot more things than we usually do.
Well, sort of. I mean, how much do our main quests really adhere to what they're supposed to be about?
That's very true.
But in our side quests, you receive our kind of like news magazine format of Talk This. It really is about that length. If you aired commercials, it would be about an hour long. It'd be like a 60 minutes, a Sunday morning. Sunday morning, I think, is 2 hours long, but we'll pretend that I've watched live TV more than like twice in the past year.
Half a Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's about the length of half a Sunday morning. Not the literal Sunday morning, but the television news magazine.
Yes.
I miss Sunday morning. It's a good show.
I have also not watched live TV since I came to college, so...
Millennials.
Yeah, we're ruining everything.
Wait, no, you're Gen Z, though.
I'm like neither, because Gen Z is technically after 2000.
No, I thought millennial cutoff was like 1996.
Yeah, but there's always like a couple of years where they're like, here's something.
Whatever. You're millennial Gen Z cusp.
Yeah.
And in the House of Moon, you are Generation Boom. And when it's in the sun, you're a Libra.
Stop. I'm a Leo, actually, thank you.
I know that, but there's like something, I almost said some dumb thing, but I didn't say that. It's like, yeah, like, I'm a Gemini, like, house, my sun house is Taurus, and my moon house is Sagittarius.
I have literally no idea what we're saying. So let's transition, shall we?
Yeah.
Into thinking about our saved data for the past 2 weeks. Malin, do you want to start this time?
I can start, but it's going to be real short.
That's fine.
I don't think that, personally, I have played any video games the past 2 weeks.
You haven't defeated the bat yet?
No. It's been a stressful time. It's been a busy time. And I don't have a lot of free time, and I don't want to spend it fighting bats that seem to arbitrarily let me fight them or not. I just don't. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I've watched a little bit of Clickbait Boyfriend playing Chain of Memories. That's about, like, the capacity that I've had for hobby-related stress.
Dang.
He claims to be enjoying it, despite the fact that he really patently refuses... No, you know what? Despite the fact that he, like, patently refuses to understand the card system, but now sort of knows how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
He's learned that premium cards are trash, so...
Yes, it's true.
He made all his good cards premium before he realized it.
I mean, if you use slights, you can set the first one as premium because you lose it either way. But
well, he's been doing a little of that, but
yeah.
Anyways, there's been that. Other notable video game development is, so I do not live in a particularly large apartment, as you may have guessed, as Talk This NYC HQ is in NYC. But despite that, I still find, or maybe because of that, I still find many, many ways to misplace my keys, particularly on mornings, and who am I kidding, this is every morning, where I am running late. And it's a little easier now that it's, wintry in the air. I mean, it's fall, but whatever. What is fall? Like, I don't really understand the seasonal autumn anymore. Is that a thing?
I don't know. We talked about it last side quest.
So it must be a thing. But now it's a little bit easier because I have a coat, then I pretty much always wear the same coat, so I could just leave it in my coat pocket. But I decided that no, you know what I should do? I should order, like, a thing for us to put our keys on. And so I was like, like, what would be an appropriate, like, thing to keep keys on? There are, like, things you can mount on the wall, but, like, we shouldn't really do that. Like, we don't own the place. And it's like, I could just get a key thing. Oh, no, you know what I should get? A Kingdom Hearts Funko Pop.
Yeah.
So I really...
How do you hang your keys on the Funko Pop?
Well, I really wanted to get, like, a Xehanort one, but there wasn't one.
That's not surprising to me.
So I got the Shadow Heartless, because it has the little antenna.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that makes sense.
So it's not really quite sturdy enough to stand up on its own, so it's living in the box with Mulan and Mushu and the Cricket for now, which is not really a very convenient place to keep my keys, but I think I'm going to get a nice little wooden block. And I had to get some wood glue recently anyway, because part of our mirror in the bathroom fell off, and now there's just like a hole in the wall. My bathroom is falling apart. Don't even get me started. But I now have wood glue, so I'm hoping that can glue this guy to the wood, and if not, I'll get some epoxy or something.
Sounds good.
So, crafting. But yeah, not too much video game stuff to report, unfortunately. I was feeling bad. But I got to the point where I just, like, I psych myself out. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I'm gonna play that for too long. Like, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the attention span for that. Like, I just psych myself out.
Mm-hmm.
I probably, by the time this episode releases, I probably will have played some video games. So do not despair for me, listeners. I haven't left the video game playing fold. I'm probably gonna play some tonight after we finish recording. But at the time of recording, which, as a reminder, is live Sunday at noon, I have not played video games. Although, at Sunday at noon, I probably have played video games. Woo!
Woo! Well, I've been playing a lot of games, so you can be regaled with my gaming adventures.
Buckle up.
I've been playing some more The World Ends With You Final Remix. I think I'm about halfway through the main story now, based on what I remember. So I probably will have done this by the time this episode airs, but my next plan is to try to play co-op by myself.
What?
I want to see if it feels at all like the DS version. But I'm waiting. There's a certain point, like halfway through, where your current partner, like, ascends, and I mean that pretty much literally, and becomes more powerful. So I'm waiting for that point, and then I'm going to try it out and record it. And you can look forward to seeing that, probably as the stinger for my play this, depending on how well it goes. So look forward to that. I'm still really enjoying it. I mean, the Switch version is just objectively not as good as the DS version, but oh well. I mean, the art looks really nice on the Switch, whatever. I've also been playing Little Valkyria Chronicles 4, which continues to be good, and pretty easy to pick up, put down, whenever I want. Besides that, I also played a little bit more Celeste, which also continues to be good. Very much enjoying it. I just finished the chapter I was on, so I still have like 3 more chapters to go. And I also picked up The Missing, J.J. Macfield and the Island of Memories, which is the latest game from auteur Swery. Have you heard of Swery?
I have not.
Have you heard of Deadly Premonition?
Maybe.
Deadly Premonition is like Twin Peaks the game, except horrible in every way, except it's the horribleness that makes it a great game.
Twin Peaks is horrible, though, so...
But no, like, the controls suck, the animations suck, everything sucks. The voice acting sucks. The animations and the voice acting don't match. They play music that's way tonally dissonant to what's happening in the scene. It's just a big mess, and it's super, super fun. I think it's on PlayStation 3, so maybe I can recommend you picking it up if you want a laugh.
What does it cost?
I don't know, but there's like a director's cut version that I think is either on the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4. But like, you play as an FBI agent who comes to town, and he has an alternate personality, which is like you, the player, whose name is Zach, and he just talks to you in front of other people, and nobody comments on it.
All right.
Just as one example. But it's pretty Twin Peaksy, except like incredibly, I don't know how to describe it, but JJ Macfield is the missing rather is very much different from that. It's like a sort of in the vein of like Limbo and Inside. You play as JJ. You and your friend / new girlfriend ended up on an island, and your girlfriend's gone missing, and you're going to find her. But it turns out that you cannot die, and so to solve puzzles, you have to like lose body parts, essentially, like kill yourself in different ways in order to get through obstacles.
That's effed up.
It is pretty, but it's purposefully that way. Like, it's not just like, here's some violence. And it's not particularly, like, gory. Like, she becomes like a silhouette whenever you lose a body part, and the blood is, like, white, which is a good stylistic choice, I think. But, I mean, it opens with like two things. The first thing it opens with is this game was made with the belief that nobody is wrong for being what they are. And then the second one is this game contains explicit violence, like references to sexual acts and other stuff. And then you get into the game. So those two things should tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the game. I really highly recommend it. It's definitely one of the more unique experiences I think I've had in a game for a while. Yeah. So check it out. It's on the Switch, PlayStation 4, Steam, Xbox.
Why is it titled that?
The Missing?
Yeah, where does that come from?
Probably because your girlfriend Emily is missing.
You just used it to describe, like, the plot, and I was like, title drop.
Oh, yeah. Your name is also JJ Backfield, and you're on the Island of Memory.
Weird.
So, it's The Missing, JJ Macfield and the Isle of Memory. That's the full title.
Interesting. You're selling me. That one sounds interesting. The other one that you sold me as Twin Peaks, except it sucks, and, like, get it for a laugh. Let me tell you, my budget for video games that I'm getting for a laugh, not that large to begin with.
It's hard to describe. It's just an experience. He sees messages in his coffee. His model looks like it wasn't supposed to, like, make facial expressions, but they make him smile a lot, and it's super creepy looking. It's just, like, a whole bunch of stuff. But in the same way that's awful, it's, like, insanely detailed in a lot of way. Like, his beard grows in real time. All the people in the city, like, it's, like, an open world, like, in terms of, like, you're in a town, and they all have their routines, and they all go through their routines. Like, so for what it is, in a lot of ways, it's, like, pretty, like, they put attention to the weirdest things in the game, essentially.
Well, I don't think I'll be checking it out, but who knows? Maybe my laugh budget will suddenly expand.
Yeah. Well, The Missing is not good for a laugh, really, but I do recommend it to anybody looking for a new game and doesn't want to go all in on the AAA stuff these days, which is a good transition.
I was so ready to
our
jump
weather
on
report.
It. I was so
What's
ready.
our weather report, Madelyn?
Yeah, so this week's weather report, speaking of brand new AAA games, if you've been paying attention to the world of gaming at all these past couple of weeks, or if you've been taking the New York subway at any of the stations in the vicinity of my apartment, you've been unable to escape seeing something about Red Dead Redemption 2. They've got ads all over my subway station. It's just Red Dead Redemption.
Mm-hmm. It's big.
Which, you know what? Sometimes the subway does feel like the Wild West. So this week's weather report is kind of a big one. You know, sometimes our weather reports are just like, kind of like whatever little things, but this is kind of a big question to ask. Is whether we think Red Dead Redemption 2 will change the way AAA games are developed. And we were talking about this before we started recording, and I mean that in one of two ways. Or two of two ways, or zero of two ways, depending. Whether it will, because, as we're sort of seeing, it's starting to get some pretty glowing reviews, as far as I've seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether the fact that this like incredibly expansive, incredibly detailed, like massive game, coming on the heels of this whole wave of gigantic, expansive open world games, whether this one, which is sort of the apparently kind of the pinnacle of what's been achieved in that genre up to this point, will push even more studios to expand in that direction and create these gigantic hundreds and hundreds of hour games that you can really just get lost in, or whether the bad press, or at least, think PC press, that the game received after its head developer, is that right?
I don't know what his position is. I think he might have been one of the narrative writers,
Well,
but
after there were some pretty damning interviews about the crunch time process and how much of the staff was being pressured or not of their own accord, wink wink, working 100-hour weeks to get this game finished. And so whether, I don't actually think I got to the point of that, whether like all that bad press will cause studios to rethink that model.
I mean, for a couple years now, I feel like there's been this growing push to unionize. And obviously it's all tied into like, go vote, kids, because it all is tied into labor laws too, right? They're able to do this because of labor laws. So, I mean, I think that will help, and that's a growing thing, and I'm hoping before I really enter the industry that that's all taken care of, honestly, in the next few years. But we'll see. But, I mean, in terms of, like, the incredible detail, like, that's just par for course. Like, yes, they're trying to make games that are more and more and more and more and more and more detailed, right? Like, that's what they feel like gamers want. Like, Spider-Man, which I posted an article a while back where they, like, were making fun of this, the designers were, with, like, new photo packs. But, like, there was, like, a scene, and in the first trailer, the puddle was larger than in the second trailer, and they're like, look at this downgrade. And they're like, no, there's just not a puddle there anymore. And like people who play these AAA games like demand that level of detail. The fact that like Spider-Man's actor like recorded all his lines both like in action and out of action. So if he's standing still, he'll say it one way, and if you're swinging, he'll say it another way. Right?
That's crazy.
That sort of level of detail. And that like all that's fine as long as like the work conditions are fine too, right? But if you want to get that game out on time, right? And I'm even saying like if there's like a couple weeks where they're working 100 hours, that's fine, but they should get compensated for that 100 hours, and there should be like they can take time off later, right? There should be compensation for that crunch time. It shouldn't just be expected or, pretty much volunteer work that's required, right? So yeah. I will say, though, that, like, anyone who's, like, boycott this game, like, that's not gonna help. It's such a big release. The fact that you're not buying it isn't gonna do anything. Like, I'm not buying it, but that's just because I never played the first one, and I don't really like open world games very much. But, like, if you're like, oh, man, I don't know if I could buy it, just buy it. Your purchase is probably tied into the employee bonuses anyway. So if you're not buying it, you're just kind of taking money away from those people, too. Like, I've seen a lot of developers, like, be like, just, say something. It's better than just, like, not buying something. In this case, your words are going to speak louder than your dollars. Just for the scale of it. Yeah. I posted on Facebook this past week in the Kotaku review of it, which I think is one of the best reviews I've ever read of any game ever. So you should definitely go read that, because it both grapples with the fact that this is, a really beautiful, insanely detailed, crazy game, but also that it demanded so much craziness from the people who made it. So go read that review if you don't agree with those thoughts.
So I have a couple of thoughts in response to what you were just saying. So the things you were just saying about the Kotaku review and this crazy beautiful thing that also demanded this crazy work from the people that created it. I really think we're kind of reaching this time of cultural reckoning. I mean, obviously, we're reaching this time of cultural reckoning with the arts and sort of thinking about what it cost to create things. Not literally, although literally sometimes, but what it costs to the people who made things to create them. And while I feel like, there's the myth of the tortured artist, and there's the myth in this case of if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life, right?
Yeah.
And that, again, go vote, kids. But I don't know what it's like working for video game studios in other countries, and certainly there's a pretty major one that just shuttered in Canada, some branch of something, right?
Yeah.
But I do know, like, as someone who works in theater and who frequently volunteers large amounts of time on projects without much in the way of compensation, it's hard, right? Because you're just sort of kind of expected to do it. Like, I would 100% get how these people put in 100-hour weeks and, like, felt like they had to do it. Because, like, I would do that. I would 100% do that if I was in their shoes. And I would be mad about it, and Clickbait Boyfriend would be worried about me, and even madder than I was about it. But I would absolutely do it because I would feel like I had to.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with QA, which I think there was, like they explicitly said, like, this is voluntary after people said, like, they felt like they were pressured to do it. With QA, a lot of the times, they can just fire you right there. Like, there's no... If you're not doing something, they can just show you the door, and that's it. So, even if it's voluntary, if you're not doing as much work as the people around you, then they're gonna... Yeah. There's that fear that they're gonna show you the door.
If you're employed at will, that's the price you pay for being able to walk... I mean, whatever. That's the price you pay for being able to walk away at any time, is they can fire you at any time.
Yeah.
But I do think we're sort of kind of reaching... At least me, in my own little arts bubble of burnout at the moment, and the things I pay attention to, a little bit of a reckoning of, like, this is not, in the arts, a sustainable way to ask people to live. Because it's in video games, we've talked about it's in anime, I see this kind of work in theater all the time, and it's just like, no one is adequately compensated for this. I can't imagine, like, I'm sure plenty of those people, well, I don't know, I guess if you're working 100 hours a week, so you must be full-time, and they must have to give you health insurance, right? But, I'm sure there were some of those people that, like, weren't even getting health insurance from the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like, especially tired right now, but it feels just so wrong to ask to just allow that. I mean, just to exploit the labor of people like that and still be like, my game has to be $60, or like, no.
Yeah. I mean, it's a generality, of course, but gamers on the internet are kind of awful people sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a generality, but, and, whatever, in any kind of consumer group, you have the same people. So it's not to say it's just gamers, but yeah, gamers on the internet, not the greatest. We just have to think about where the things that we like come from and what the human price is paying them. I mean, there are lots of other things where people are far more exploited than these, game designers and QA testers and whatever, right? And we buy those without thinking about it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So... anything that gets us to look at the supply chain. I'm certainly not good at this, but should probably all be evaluating more what the real price is of the things that we buy.
Yep.
But my one other comment before we move on, because we should move on, is, like, does anybody make, like, 30-hour games anymore?
Sure. Yeah.
Who?
Small companies.
Like what?
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog makes 30-hour games?
Last of Us is probably like 20, 30 hours.
Okay.
Uncharted might be like more like 15.
More like what?
15.
Okay. I'm just curious, because it feels like there's this increasing polarization between, here are the games that are 5 hours long, and here are the games that are 200.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Just, like, as open world becomes more popular, yeah, games become bigger. Like, if you just went through the main story, well, it's probably, like, the reviews I read were, like, 60 hours for main story. But a lot of open world games, if you just go through the main story, they're, like, 20 hours long. It's just when you get into the rest of it that it becomes longer.
Yeah, that's not fair, though, because that's saying, that's not how those games are supposed to be played.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that I feel like the middle ground is thinning out. It's not just that we're creating more games that are, like, open world on top of the other games. It's just that it's thinning out in the middle. Interesting. Anyway, folks, after that heavy discussion of labor politics, let's light up the fire, shall we? It's a brisk fall day. You don't want to be outside. You want to come and sit with us. We got a cozy little off-topic corner to talk about all things spooky.
Spooky.
That's right, folks. This week, in case you forgot, this is your friendly reminder from Talk This to come up with a costume now. You've got 3 days. It's Halloween.
Yeah. You know what I'll be doing for Halloween? I'll be sitting in the class I TA for, helping them do their workshops.
Spooky.
Very spooky. No, I haven't done Halloween at all since... I mean, that's not true. I've been to Halloween from our favorite band, Jukebox the Ghost, but I haven't done Halloween at all since I've been to college. Or really since, like, I don't know, like freshman year of high school.
I might swear off of Jukebox the Ghost forever because they promised an East Coast Halloween, and then the East Coast was Chicago.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Jeez.
Anyway. Yeah, my office is doing, like, it's like someone sent out an email, the administrative assistant sent out an email about it, like, they are doing Halloween, there's been candy all over, I mean, the Moth office is always full of snacks, but there's been, like, especially candy all over the place the past week, and I imagine on Halloween it will only be candier. We've been promised a Halloween gin o'clock, so... Sure, like the office parties they call them gin o'clocks. You know, not everybody drinks gin, but that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And they said you're welcome to dress up as long as it's a work appropriate costume, which makes me feel like I need to at least have like a Jim Halpert level of costume. You know, I can't just be like, no, I didn't dress up.
Yeah.
But I also teach a tutoring class in the morning that day, so I can't, like, dress up.
Yeah.
Not that I would have anyway. So...
Just like, buy, like, a witch's hat, and you can just carry it with you.
Yeah, but my budget for laughs and witch's hats, pretty low.
It's just in your budget. Yeah. Laughs and witch's hats. About $2.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get that big, that Keyblade. You been hearing about this, like, $40 Keyblade, full-size Keyblade they're selling?
Only $40.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's pretty cheap.
Dang, that's a cheap Keyblade.
I know.
I might buy that Keyblade.
I was thinking about getting it for you for Christmas, but I guess the cat's out of the bag now.
No, get it for me. Then I don't have to spend $40.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Just don't give it to me in front of anybody.
I would only do it if you'll reenact the Roxas Sora video with me.
Then you'd have to buy 2 of them, though.
No, 3. Dual
right.
wield!
Dual wield.
You're a nobody!
No, I will not be dressing up for Halloween this year.
I have to do something. We at our meetings we do like question slips, and that's for like our production department meetings, and that's how they decide who's gonna talk about what at what time. And so my question that I came up for the last one was like, what was your all-time greatest Halloween costume? And I said I didn't want to say Uka Uka because like no one was gonna know what the F that was. So I was like a witch doctor mask from Crash Bandicoot, and still the person that read it was like, what's that? few people.
I
seem to
remember
know.
that we went around, and I was a witch that year, and everyone was like, "Are you a witch doctor?" And you were like, "No, I'm Uka Uka."
Peruga. Whatever. Still a great costume. I
was pretty
also,
good.
my best Halloween experience of all time, well, really worst, but I don't know. I guess it sort of worked out, is Halloween my freshman year of college. It was Miami, and when I was in school, Halloween, like, every year made it so it was just, like, this horrible extended Halloween weekend, right? Like, every year, it was like, it's on a Thursday, and everyone was like, great, we're gonna party the whole time.
I don't understand college students.
And I think it was on a Thursday, because, like, yeah, I think it was on a Thursday, because my roommate had gone out to party, I think at the Grove, because that's where you go on Thursdays in Miami. She'd gone out for Halloween, which, fine, whatever, go out for Halloween, you do you, that's not me, but you do you.
Mm-hmm.
People keep asking me if I have plans for Halloween, and I'm like, no. And at 3 a.m, the fire alarm went off on Halloween, so spooky.
Spooky.
And I was so disoriented and asleep that I left my key card in my room.
That sounds right.
But my roommate was still in the Grove, so I was locked out of my room. And I had to sleep on the futon in a friend's dorm.
Spooky.
Super spooky. Fortunately, that friend was clickbait boyfriend. So, spooky!
He's the spookiest of all.
Yeah, he is pretty spooky.
So, tell us what you're gonna dress up for as Halloween. For Halloween.
Oh, I can wear my Mario hat!
Oh, that's a good one.
What else does Mario wear?
Overalls.
I have overalls.
And like a red shirt underneath.
I can do this.
There you go.
Oh man, I'm gonna be Mario. You have to be Luigi.
I don't own overalls, but I will wear the hat. I'll give you that compromise.
You don't have like anything?
No.
I have to ship Emma some overalls. I don't have like overalls. I have like overall shorts. But if I do tights under them, it'll be like cute lady Mario.
Well, if you send us your game-themed Halloween costumes, maybe we'll feature you on our blog or social media, Madelyn.
Beep beep! What sound was that? That was
a car sound.
That was Junpyo in a car chase sound. Bang bang boom! It's the traffic
time
report.
The traffic report.
So
Yay.
this is a risky traffic report because I'm having to predict traffic. Which I feel like I'm on the local news. I'm having to be like, we expect that I-67 is gonna clear up.
Well, we've had 2 split screens. Yeah. So you can keep watching My Hero Academia and Boys Over Flowers with us, both of which are real heating up.
These were action-packed. Wasn't that a nice little nod to my own social media? These are an action-packed couple of episodes. Like, if there is a time to start tuning in, folks, it is now.
Yes.
Boys Over Flowers will only be better with no context. And My Hero Academia does a flashback to the entire series, like, every episode anyway. So you'll pick it up.
Yeah.
So those have been great. Excellent split screens. Did you do a drawing as I requested for the most recent one?
No.
Where's my fan
I put a
art?
note in there, though.
Where's my
Put a note in there saying, I did not do a drawing because I like myself.
Where's my Yule fan art?
Sorry.
Whatever, maybe for Christmas. And then there have been 2 clickbait boyfriends as well. They're very off schedule. I'm sorry.
We're just a mess these last 2 weeks.
I really did try. We're in Kingdom Hearts timeline where, like, who knows how time passes.
Yeah, we don't know what day it is even.
But yeah, the 2 clickbait boyfriends brought us to the end of Birth by Sleep. The end.
The end.
Also, I realized that on October 22nd, it was the 1-year anniversary of Clickbait Boyfriend.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
And now he's a rabid fan.
Let me see. That should be it on our blog. We're thinking about doing a The World Ends With You joint blog, but you'd probably have to play a little bit more to do that.
Yeah, I will. I'll play it. We'll get it up next week.
And also for The World Ends With You, next Thursday or Friday, I should have my The World Ends With You play this out.
Exciting.
So you look forward to that.
I am.
I got a lot of jokes, folks.
The people want to know. Noodle Tuss.
God, just leave me alone. One day, it'll come out one day. I cannot do it. It doesn't make me happy to work on it right now, so I cannot do it.
Alright, that's fair. But you know what? The people demand it. I don't care if it makes you happy to work on it. It's crunch time.
Cup Noodles, if you'll offer me a sponsorship for my Noodle Tuss short parody series, then I'll consider working on it faster.
I have to tell you about the Finsta that I'm thinking of starting. I can't share it on air because I want it to be secret.
So to get all that YouTube content, you can follow us on YouTube at Talk This Sisters, and all our other social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, is Talk This Podcast.
We did kind of relaunch sharing some blog links this week, including the 100 Baby Challenge that we talked about.
God, stop it. God, I just don't want to hear about that anymore.
Alright. We'll move on. But first, your weekly reminder that if you enjoyed this podcast, that you should subscribe so you never miss an episode. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, pretty much any podcasting platform that you could like or use or tolerate. We are there. You should listen to us and subscribe and rate and review. We appreciate that stuff. It really means a lot to us. And tell your friends. And share all of our social media stuff. You know the drill. Which brings us to our question of the fortnight. Emma, tell me, what's the cue?
So, if you were in a video game, you were the video game protagonist, what would your preferred weapon be?
Keyblade!
Honestly, a Keyblade is a pretty crappy weapon.
No, it's terrible. It's friggin' terrible.
Some of them look pretty cool, but honestly, what are you doing? You're just hitting somebody with a blunt instrument.
It's a club.
That's not very cool. So what would you pick, though?
I always tend for, ranged weapons, right? Like, I would always play Cyclops in X-Men Legends, which, by the way, the fact that that isn't available on the PlayStation eShop is a travesty.
It is.
Just need to make sure that's out there.
Switch port, switch port, switch port.
Switch port!
Bringing everything to Switch!
Yo, Okami is only $20. I didn't even realize that. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, you should.
I just assumed. I assumed because video games cost $60, I assumed it would be $60. But it's not.
It's not.
Okay, video game weapon of choice. I'm still mulling it over. Do you have a top choice?
I guess it would I didn't really think about this, so I guess it would depend on the genre of
right,
game,
what game
too,
are we
right? In? Yeah. But, in terms of, weapons, I like daggers and bows. Because I'm a thief stan. I always pick the thief, right? And they always use the daggers and the bows. Right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of, standard weaponry. But I think the pins in The World Ends With You are pretty cool, too. Only if you were, a genius and could use all of them, obviously. But, that's a cool power. You can, collect them and customize your abilities. It's kind of like magic, except you got pins. You don't have to carry, books around or anything like that.
That is cool. Yeah, I do kind of tend towards, energy balls, right? Like Mineta.
Yes. Malon's weapon of choice, sticky balls.
That's not what I said.
Too bad. We've heard it here first, folks. Spread it on the news. Spread it to all her potential Lawyers.
Stop it. Or like lightning bolts. I like lightning stuff.
Lightning's pretty cool.
Or I don't know, I'm trying to think of like what other video games that I play. Or like airplanes. I always win in Civilization once I get planes earlier than everybody else, and I can just bomb their
summon
cities.
planes from the sky too.
Yeah.
That would be pretty dope.
Like in Worms Armageddon.
Yeah.
The airstrike.
Yeah. Planes. The best weapon.
What else do I like in Worms? Like dynamite is pretty good sometimes.
The sheep bomb.
The sheep. That's what I want. I want my exploding sheep.
There we go. Right.
Super sheep. Wait, super
glad
sheep
we
was the
settled on
thing,
this.
right? Where it could like fly.
Super sheep.
I want a super sheep. That's
Okay.
my weapon of choice.
You got the super sheep.
Yes.
So, listeners, what is your preferred weapon of choice, and how are you incorporating it into your Halloween costume? Let us know. Can send us to us on social media, or just leave a review that just says, I like the super sheep too.
Not if
5
what you
stars.
like is sticky balls. Please don't write that.
Don't write that. Please don't. And we mean that. This is not an invitation.
This is not a
to
dare.
do it.
It's
No.
not a joke.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. Next time we have another full episode with some games that we picked. Better games.
They're gonna be great.
Yes.
This is, as usual, our like gullible ploy to get you to click on our last episode and listen
yeah.
to find out what the games were. This is
Of
all an
course.
act.
Of course.
Well, Emma, should I wish the people, the Talk This listeners, give them their benediction, or would you like to?
You may.
All right, listeners. Have a spooky week.